Hey there, this is your coach James Wilson here with the Body Position Program warm-up. We're going to start out with what's known as crocodile breathing, something that's going to set our diaphragm, make sure we're breathing through the diaphragm, make sure that's efficient. It's a really important thing to make sure that we're practicing with our strength training and our cardio, and a very important part of body position on the bike. So the better our body position, the better we're going to be able to do this, and the better we can do this, the better we can hold our body position. So let me show you how this works. Pretty complicated. You ready? Here we go. I'm gonna lay down on the floor. Hands on my head, or head on my hands like this, and this is the position. So, as you can tell, I was just kidding about the complicated part. Now, what you're gonna do at this point is you're going to send your breath into your diaphragm, which means that you want to breathe into your belly and not into your chest. So, you can even like put your hand on your lower back if that helps. And what you want to do is you want to feel your hand rise and fall with your breath. So rise and fall. And then you want to make sure that you're doing it on the sides. You can put your hands on the sides and make sure that as you breathe in, you're pushing your fingers out and out. So it's just breathing in through your nose, all as deep in as you can in through your nose, and then letting it out through your nose, only in and out through your nose, which will help force that diaphragmatic breathing. And you're making sure that you're sending the breath into the lower back and expanding out through the side. And that will make sure that you're breathing with the diaphragm, starting with a good low breath, starts low and finishes high, and that's going to improve your mobility, your cardio, your strength, everything that you want. So make sure you've got your breathing set and you're practicing that with everything that we do. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and warm up with 3 to 5 minutes on a bike, rower, doing some jump rope, just some kind of light cardio activity. Make sure that while you're doing it, you're reinforcing that good proper breathing. You don't want to start just going into your chest breathing while you're doing your warm up. So once you've done that, you're going to move on to foam rolling. So we're going to go over the basics of foam rolling with you here. Got you your foam roller. We'll start out on the calves. So sitting back to get the calves, you just start down by the ankles. I like to just work up and work the muscles in halves. So doing like the bottom half and then getting down, getting the top half. You can, side to side, experiment, see, dig around, see if you can find some knots in either side. You can go ahead and move up to the hamstrings if those are tight on you as well. Once you get a little more mobile in the hips and take some of the stress off the hamstrings, actually they won't be as tight, but may need to do that at first. Next is the glutes. To do that, you're gonna sit on your foam roller, you're gonna cross your leg, and you're gonna point the knee that you've crossed down towards the ground. That's gonna sit you over onto that butt cheek. And then you're just gonna work, again, just kind of changing the angle, working around. There's no hard and fast rules with foam rolling. You're just looking for the trigger points, the painful parts, basically, and trying to work them out. So again, make sure you get both sides when you're doing that. So once you've done that, you're gonna move to the upper back. So just giving yourself a nice big hug, and then just rolling out along the upper back. Probably get a few pops out of your back doing this one. Again, once you've done that, we're looking for about 10 strokes or so in each area. You're gonna raise one arm over your head. You're gonna go over to that side. Start down on the lat, right below the armpit. You're gonna go on side to side on it. Get up into the armpit itself. Again, just working around. You can get on the back there into the rotator cuff. And again, make sure you get all the way down by the elbow and into the tricep as well. So get this whole lat up into the tricep through the armpit. That's a really tight area on a lot of us. So yeah, make sure you get both sides with that. And then you're gonna do your quads, flip over to the front. Thighs on the front of the foam roller. And just up and down. So you can take one of the legs off, allow you to kind of get a little further up into the hip, like that. Just make sure you're doing both sides. And then finally, your inner thigh Get next to the foam roller, bring your leg up. Again, just getting this inner thigh and then working your way, starting down by the knee, working your way up into the groin like that. So make sure you get both sides with that. So again, just 10 strokes on each one, warming up, you know, keeping a foam roller by your couch and doing this as often as you can, spending more time on the tight spots is a great idea. You almost can't foam roll too much. So once you foam rolled, you're gonna do a couple stretches. So the first one is a quad and hip flexor stretch. So for this, you're gonna need a bench or a chair or couch or something like that. You're just gonna put one foot behind you and drop your knee straight down. Get the other leg out in front of you a little bit. Now, at this point here, what you wanna do is you wanna push your knee down into the ground. Get that nice and strong. And then keep pushing that knee down into the ground as you bring your butt back a little bit. And if you feel yourself not able to keep pushing that knee down into the ground, you know, obviously as you change your angle, it's gonna change some, but if you just feel it go and all of a sudden you've got no pressure down at all, then you've lost the hip, you know, we're losing the stretch that we're looking for. To push that down like that, you've gotta engage the hip, and that'll help open up the hips, or the hip flexors, which is what we're trying to stretch, the hip flexors and the quad here. If we just bend forward like this, we lose that stretch. So 5 to 10 breaths in this position, and then once you've done that, you're gonna bring your foot out a little bit, and then you're going to, again, keep pushing that knee down, trying to maintain some tension here in the glute, down into, through the knee, and then you're gonna shift the hips forward, and you'll feel the stretch come up here into the hip flexor area even more. You can even add, you know, holding the arm up, a couple things like that can increase the stretch, but just that basic stretch right there to start out with. And then, yeah, make sure you're doing both sides with that. So when you're done with that, you're gonna move on to your lying hamstring stretch. So for this one, you're gonna need a rope or something along those lines that you're gonna be able to loop around your leg. So you're gonna take it, you're gonna place it around your foot, and you're gonna lie back. You're gonna start with both legs on the ground. And I'm gonna raise this leg up, and I'm gonna get a stretch going on the hamstring, but while I'm doing this, I'm focusing on keeping this leg straight. I want my calf to stay on the ground. I want that toe to stay pointed towards the ceiling. If I come up and I feel that go, I feel this leg come up, I feel it turn out, that's too far. I'm trying to work on my ability to stretch this leg while keeping this leg neutral. If this leg has to compensate to get this leg higher, we're not working on what we want. So make sure you're keeping this leg in a strong position. Focus more on this than this leg. And then once you get it up, you can bring it from side to side, working in and out. Again, taking a couple breaths. And you should be able, after doing from side to side a couple times, and taking a couple breaths, getting yourself to relax at this point, or in this position, you should be able to bring it a little higher. So again, just kind of working into the range of motion. So rather than just cranking on it as hard as you can, you know, not worrying about what the other leg is doing, make sure that you're focusing on the position, the postures that we want our mobility to be, you know, working on improving. So keeping that other leg down, making sure that you're working into it, using your breath, and you'll get more out of that stretch than kind of the traditional way of going about it. So once you've done all that, we're ready to move on to our dynamic mobility stuff. So we're gonna start out with a couple things on the ground. So if you need a pad to do that, then you'd want to get it. The first one that we're going to do is called the periscope. This is pretty simple. You're just going to lie on the ground, arms out to the side like this, and then you're going to raise your head up. You're going to look to one side and look to the other side. Back down. Head up, looking up as high as you can. Look to one side, keeping that head up. Look to the other. Back down. Just repeat. Keeping your arms and your legs relaxed. And honestly, that's harder than it sounds at first. So you're going to start with that, the periscope. Then we're going to move on to the Sphinx. So for the Sphinx, you're gonna get your hands under you in this position here. I got my elbows underneath my shoulders. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop my shoulders, just relax, and I'm gonna drive my elbows hard into the ground. I'm gonna look down, up, left, right. You can look right and left if you want, or you can do it the way I'm doing it. Then relax. Drive the elbows down. Keep this strong. Down, up, side, side, relax. Again, down nice and strong. Down, up, side, side, relax. So once you've done that, we're gonna do the Sphinx reaches. So for this, same position, you're gonna get your shoulders set. Now, I'm gonna reach one hand forward, and I'm gonna reach my hand back, and then come back to the start position, relax, then do the other side. Reach forward, bring it around, and back. Reset, forward, around, and set. So the main thing you gotta watch with this is as you do this, I want to stay over my elbow. I don't wanna lean over to the side like this. That's no good. I've gotta keep my shoulder over my elbow as much as I can, and that's gonna work on what we're looking for. So those are called our Sphinx reaches. When you're done with that, we're gonna do our frog stretch. So for the frog stretch, you're gonna get your knees spread apart, about as wide as you can. Once you're, show you from the side here, you're gonna get your toes on the ground. So knees, hands, knees, and big toes on the ground. I'm gonna look up, puff my chest out, and I'm gonna pull my butt back towards my heels, and then just release. And then pull my butt back and release. I'm pushing my hands into the ground as I do this, and release, push back, and release. So that's the frog stretch. Once you're done with that, you're gonna do the frog, the quadruped T-spine twist. So it's basically staying in your frog stretch position. You're gonna take one hand off the ground, you're gonna reach over and touch your knee, and then you're gonna reach up for the ceiling. Reach and touch your knee, reach up for the ceiling. Touch your knee, up to the ceiling. When you're done, you just do the other side. And touching the knee, reach for the ceiling, staying nice and strong on the arm that's on the ground. You don't want it bending and twisting too much. When you're done with that, we're gonna move on to our bird dog touches. So for the bird dog touches, you're gonna get set, all fours, hands and knees, and we're gonna do a bird dog, which means we're gonna extend one arm and the opposite leg out. So I'll show you from the side, one arm, opposite leg. Now the touches, I'm gonna touch hand to knee, wrist to knee, forearm to knee, and elbow to knee. When I'm done, I switch sides. The other side, hand to knee, wrist to knee, forearm to knee, elbow to knee. Just trying to stay nice and strong. Don't want to be twisting. Don't want a whole lot of hunching while you're doing that. Just kind of working into those. And then finally, you're going to finish off with your toe touch drill. So to do this, you're going to need something to put your toes on. I've got a functional movement screen kit. You can use, I mean, really anything that'll raise your toes an inch off the ground. You know, a book, a 2x4, whatever. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your toes on whatever you've got, your 2x4, whatever it is. You're going to put something between your knees. This is a yoga block. You can use your foam roller, just something hard that you'll be able to put between your legs like this. And then what you're going to do, you're going to reach tall for the ceiling. You're going to squeeze your knees together, whatever's between your legs. You're going to squeeze it as tight as you can, and then you're going to reach down. Keep squeezing that as tight as you can. You're going to reach down and touch your toes. And then come back up. Reach tall for the ceiling. Squeeze. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing, keep squeezing as you bend down and touch your toes. If you need to, you can bend your knees to get down to your toes. Make sure you get to your toes. So if you're coming down and you only get to here, bend your knees a little bit, that's fine. I want you to touch your toes each time. Then when you're done with that, you would switch or just turn around and put your heels on the board this time. Again, same thing, tall reach, squeeze, Keep squeezing, keep squeezing, keep squeezing as you come down, back down. It's just very important you keep squeezing as you bend down to touch your toes. That's gonna keep your core activated. Make sure that you're using your hips as much as possible and not your lower back. So again, 5 with your toes on, 5 with your heels on, and that's gonna do it. So once you finish that warm up, things are gonna be moving much better. You're gonna be a lot looser, ready to get into your workouts and also just kind of your everyday activities and be ready to apply better movement to it. So hopefully you've enjoyed the warm up, and I'll talk to you in the workouts.